We begin with this exciting journey by loading the model into the slicer and cutting the model into smaller printable parts. I'm using Prusa i3 Mark III with Prusament PLA. The color of the filament doesn't really matter since it's all going to be painted. I'm using a low infill at 1 to 2%. After several days of printing, it's assembly time. I fill the base with plaster to ensure the sculpture doesn't topple. This is rather tall, so it's rather important. Brushing plaster on the base will also give it a rather beautiful and organic texture. For gluing all the parts together, I'm using super glue. I've also used filler primer to fill in the seam lines. For my future projects, I will use a rod or another stronger bonding agent to increase the structural integrity of this sculpture, but alas. After sanding it with 80, 100, and 200 grit sandpaper, I'm using filler primer that will erase some, but not all of the layer lines. Make sure to spray evenly and thinly to avoid drips. Spray multiple layers for the ideal effect. After using the filler primer, I went with another 200, 300, and 400 grit sandpaper. Now I'm mixing red, blue, black, and earth color acrylic paint to create a red bowl, or red clay that's traditionally used in water gilding. Red will also give the gold leaf a really warm glow, because gold leaf has a naturally green hue under light. Now, if you go look at any gilded sculpture or any gilded frame, you will see that there is red underneath. That is the red bowl. After painting, I'm applying Mona Lisa Gilding Medium, which is basically glue that doesn't easily dry. In traditional water gilding, red clay is used with rabbit skin glue, but that process is far more costly and complicated, so this method should do. Now for the most exciting step, I'm applying the gold leaf. I'm using an imitation gold leaf, which works perfectly without breaking the bank. It's made from part copper and part tin. For sculpture this big, it's just as stunning and much easier to work with. The gold leaf should easily adhere to the gilding medium. I'm patting the leaf down with a fine brush. Now for the parts that you've missed, you can just pick up the extra gold leaf and the gold dust. I'm applying these with a bristle brush. This process is much simpler than it looks. Now I'm using steel wool to dull the sculpture to get rid of the unwanted shininess. Now I'm also adding a subtle wash of burnt sienna acrylic paint. This will give it a further antiqued effect. In addition to these weathering effects, the imperfections of the 3D print itself makes this sculpture not so perfect. But imperfection is precisely what gives this sculpture a sense of realism. If you wanted perfection, spray paint is perfectly fine and easy, but gilding is just so much more charming.